What's up? My name is Jackson Binder, and today I will be telling you about the poker professional legend that is Phil Ivey, also known as No Home Jerome, also known as the Tiger Woods of poker. A little bit about Phil Ivey's early life. Well, Phil Ivey was born in Riverside, California on February 1st, 1977, but he only lived there for the first couple months of his life when his family moved to Roselle, New Jersey, where he spent pretty much his whole childhood, and that's where he was raised. Phil actually started playing poker at a really young age. He was 8 years old, and he learned from his grandfather. They would play poker all the time. Phil thought it was the most fun thing in the world, and his grandfather loved to play it with him. Even when he was still really young, Phil's grandfather noticed that Phil had a natural skill with poker, and he encouraged him to pursue it. This led to Phil and his grandpa playing poker for hours every day and really mastering it. Phil wanted to start playing real poker in a real casino with real money, but he couldn't do it because he was too young. So what he did was he got a fake ID so that he could start playing in casinos. This was when Phil Ivey moved to Atlantic City and he started going by his fake ID name, Jerome Graham. Phil was playing poker nonstop after this. Once he got the fake ID, poker was all he did. He would spend 15 plus hours a day in the casino. He would never leave, playing poker all day, ended up being really good at it. And this is where he adopted his first nickname, No Home Jerome. People called him this because he was in the casino so much that a lot of people there thought that he actually didn't have a home, and Jerome being his name on his fake ID, which he went by. So the nickname suited him really well. All right, this led to Phil's advancements in the game of poker. When Phil finally turned 21, he started playing in casinos and went by his real name, which was Phil Ivey. Didn't have to use the fake ID anymore. Phil kept gaining knowledge and confidence with poker. Though he wasn't a professional yet, he was still learning more about the game, getting better with it, learning new techniques and strategies. He would play against his coworkers, play with his family still, play in casinos. Pretty much all he was doing was playing poker. And he just kept getting better and he learned new strategies. One of his strategies that he was most famous for was he would always stare down his opponents while playing poker to try to make them uncomfortable and maybe try to crack. When Phil was about 21 years old and he was starting to pursue poker more seriously, he actually ended up getting advice from poker professionals Barry Greenstein and Daniel Negreanu, who were poker legends. These guys were professionals. They had made a lot of money playing poker. They knew what they were doing. And Phil took this opportunity to learn and keep getting better at poker. At first, Ivey was hesitant to commit to playing professional poker, but with the knowledge that he gained from Barry and Daniel, this was the confidence that he needed to start playing. And he started playing in tournaments. He was really getting competitive with it, and he ended up being really good, keep getting better. And that was the confidence boost that he needed. And he finally turned professional and started playing in professional tournaments. All right, Phil's early career started when he won his first World Series of Poker gold bracelet in the year 2000 against one of the biggest names in poker, Amarillo Slim. In this World Series of Poker, he won $200,000, which is a lot of money, especially for a young poker player. And that was the money that he needed to really commit to playing poker full time and adapting his skill. This win really jump-started Ivey's career and made him dedicate almost all of his time to poker. Ivey started to gain many fans after this and was becoming one of the most famous young names in the poker world. Everyone knew who Phil Ivey was. Even with his first World Series of Poker title, he won the gold bracelet. He was a promising young player, but people were still questioning if whether or not he could continue his success. Well, Phil Ivey did just that and more. By the next year, 2003, he won 3 more World Series of Poker gold bracelets and a lot more money with it. So Phil Ivey had a great career with poker. Some of his most notable achievements were he would go on to win 10 World Series of Poker gold bracelets, which is crazy. He was actually the youngest poker player to ever achieve this. He also, his 10 titles are tied for the second most of all time. So yeah, everyone who knows poker knows the name Phil Ivey. He had a great career, one of the biggest names there is in poker. He ended up winning so much more money than just from these World Series of Poker. He won hundreds of millions of dollars from these competitions alone, making him the wealthiest poker player of all time. Phil continued to compete in the World Poker Tour many times. He ended up winning the whole thing in 2008, which is one of the greatest accomplishments you can have for a poker player. In the years 2005 and 2009, Phil Ivey actually won the Poker Player of the Year award, which is also one of the biggest achievements you can get in the poker world. Not only was Phil playing in these tournaments and going on tours, but he also started playing online poker. And before 2011, Phil was the biggest winner ever in the online poker world, making him almost $20 million from online poker alone. I think, in my opinion, the biggest achievement out of all of this, all of his success, his great career, was the Poker Hall of Fame. This is obviously one of the greatest honors any poker player can have. The Hall of Fame, it's for greats only, and Phil Ivey had to be in the Hall of Fame, one of the biggest names in poker. He was inducted into the Poker Hall of Fame in 2017. He had just turned 40, which was actually his first year eligible, and getting into the Poker Hall of Fame in your first year is a crazy feat. It takes a lot of people many years, and Phil did it in his first year eligible, which makes it even more crazy. He was against the odds, but he beat the odds and was inducted in his first year. Not only is Phil Ivey known for his poker skill, but something that in my eyes makes him a really good man is his charity work. Phil is all about giving back to the community, giving back to people in need, and donating his money when he needs to. And this was actually inspired by his grandfather. His grandfather was really big on giving back to society. He always wanted to give money to less fortunate, give money to kids who need school. And Phil looked at this and was inspired by it. And now that he had money to where he could really start making a difference, this was exactly what he wanted to do. Phil Ivey created his own foundation, which is called the Budding Ivy Foundation. Now, what this foundation does is it helps underprivileged children get education that they need. This is something that I think is really spectacular. He's great for doing it. There's kids all over that don't get the education that they need. And for someone who has as big of a name as Phil and as much money as Phil, this was really a great foundation to get started. What this does, it gives out, in addition to all the money, they give out 2 full-ride scholarships a year for kids to go to college. And Phil still, in addition to his own foundation, he donates 1% of all of his poker winnings to cancer prevention charities that help cancer patients get proper screenings. Another thing that I think is really important, and it really makes Phil's name great in everyone else's eyes because of his charity work. A little bit more about Phil's personal life. He got married at a young age to his high school girlfriend named Lucietta in Las Vegas. They ended up getting a divorce a few years later, and this was not the best for Phil because she ended up taking a large amount of Phil's money, and also a lot of jewelry too, and he still has to pay alimony. Ivey started dating Nelly Garcia in 2012, and they are still together. Ivey is also a really big sports fan. You can catch him at sporting events across the country. His favorite teams are the Buffalo Bills, the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Houston Rockets. He is also really big into golf and has actually played in professional poker golf tournaments, and he's always playing golf, loves it. and that's really a big part of his personal life. Today, Phil Ivey is still playing poker, still getting along well. He started his own poker training site called the Ivy League. And in this training site, he actually teaches people how to play poker. There's different levels to it, and it's free, but if you want to pay more money, you can. Phil uses this to teach everyone how to play poker. He actually works as a strategic advisor for a virtual poker site as well. So he's still getting in a big share of poker. Um, Ivy still goes by his various nicknames, No Home Jerome, and my favorite, the Tiger Woods of poker. And like I said, he is currently said to be the richest poker player in the world with a net worth of approximately 100 million. And that's it on Phil Ivey. Thank you.